So did you know that America is the land of the free and the home of the blissfully ignorant?
I'm not surprised.
Today, we're going to expose just how little most people actually know about immigration, the Constitution, and how their damn tax dollars are spent.
Oh, great. We're talking about the idiots today.
Spoiler alert, though. Those TikTok dances, they're not going to save you. They're just not.
All right.
So let's talk about immigration myths. So one of the big things right now, of course, is with Trump in office, and he is making good on his promise to deport people. Like,
aggressively.
There's
so.
a lot of people saying there hasn't been as many deported as he says, but yet Mexico comes out recently and said they've gotten 57,000 deportees sent to Mexico. And that's just Mexico.
I think he's arrested an awful lot more people than he has actually.
Yeah, but they have to go through the due process. And that's what we want to talk about today. So a lot of people say that person is here legally because they asked for asylum.
Not how it works.
And it isn't how it works. There's a process you have to go through.
You have to be, I don't know.
And isn't there, like, the international law says you're not allowed to cross multiple borders to get to another country. In other words, you don't get to pick and choose where you seek asylum, because asylum is supposed to mean you need to escape some persecution or whatever from the country you're in.
So only Mexicans or Canadians could walk across the border and ask for asylum.
You could do it at an airport.
Could fly in.
You could do it at an airport and fly in.
Interesting.
But if you're walking in, yes, those are the only two. And it's not only just Mexicans or Canadians. It would have to be people who, what if you were in Mexico?
After that Canadian election, I think a lot of Canadians are going to seek asylum in the United States.
That's for another day. But the main thing is they have to follow legal procedures. Like, for instance, not crossing the border illegally, but coming through an actual prescribed entry point. I'm amazed when you look at the border of Canada and the US, how long it is, right? But yet there's only a handful of actual legit border crossings.
I think there's 10 land crossings.
It's not a lot for as long as
there are more
border
land crossings in between the US and Mexico, I think.
Probably. They got to follow the law, but also they have to be at that point of entry physically and file their request for asylum there.
Mm-hmm.
But these people come in the country later, and then they ask for asylum, and suddenly they think that makes their initial entry lawful, and it doesn't.
Right.
Still entered illegally, and that's what the law says.
You know the best myth that I've read recently was that person who was insisting that a guy became a citizen because he married a Canadian or an American citizen.
Yeah, that's one of the points I have to bring up today
really
about
actually
immigration.
how it works.
Yeah, marriage to a U.S. citizen, guys, sorry to tell you, it does not automatically make you a citizen.
It easily paves the way to getting a green card, but it still costs a butt ton of money, takes a buttload of time, and has a buttload of steps you have to take.
Yeah, it gives you the right to apply for the green card, but you have to go through interviews, background checks, all kinds of scrutiny for fraud, and for some countries, years of waiting to apply for citizenship.
Yeah, and I'm aware that, like, I came here and married you, and I got the easy process through immigration because I'm Canadian. But still, the easy process was long and bullshitty enough.
And that's another point I have here is that green cards are super expensive, and they're not as easy to obtain as people think.
It was $1,600 for one single form 6 years ago.
And you had to have multiples, and each one of those had a fee assigned to them.
I think the total was like $2,400 just in fees to the government for the forms.
Yeah, even without an attorney, it's an expensive process.
Right.
And the thing is, it costs you a lot of money, and the denial rates are super high, even for applicants who follow every rule. You
That's
just
fun.
get denied. Imagine those people from 90 Day Fiancé, John and Rachel.
Yeah.
And he couldn't come in. He cannot qualify for that visa.
They tried fiance, they tried spouse.
I think that there's more to that story than he's told us.
I think there's probably quite a bit more to that story than we were told, yeah.
And then the last thing that I have as a point, and I don't know what else you have to talk about immigration, but there's quotas. They limit who can immigrate. And it's by country. So not everyone can just get in line. In fact, there's many people.
Oh, for people who just want to apply for a random green card?
There's many people who aren't eligible. Period. So that's another thing that people don't seem to understand. And it's funny because it sure doesn't stop them from arguing with you about it on the comment section.
Right. Of course not. People just love to argue about their idiotic misconceptions all the time.
And I'm sure the listeners have figured this out at this point, I love cop cam videos. I've watched Live PD all 6 hours every single week, watched it nonstop every
You sure
week.
did.
Like
and
a
you
religion.
watched it actually live.
Yes, like a religion. I loved it. And now I watch all of the body cam videos for same reason. When we watch these videos, you constantly hear people screeching, right, but they don't.
They know the rights that TV wants them to know, or things that are true. They don't know their actual rights.
One of the things the driver ones say is the sovereign citizens, oh, I'm driving or am I traveling? They're not legally separate concepts. They aren't.
The one that we watched where it was like the couple who were sovereign citizens, the passenger dude, he was traveling.
Yes. Traveling is a right. Driving a motor vehicle on public roads is a regulated privilege that requires a license, registration, insurance, and adherence to state laws. So if all of that is necessary, how can you just decide one day that you're going to, quote, travel and not drive, and you can cover up your VIN number because they don't have a right to look at it, and you can put any old license plate on there that you paid $25 for on the internet that says you're a private national? What the hell? And even then, let's be real, even if you could be a private national, as we've said many times, are we allowed to go to Canada and completely violate their laws and go, sorry, we live in the United States?
Dude, these people are saying they aren't citizens of the United States. Maybe they should be added to the deportation list. I bet you they become citizens real fast after that.
And then my other favorite one is when they're arresting the people and they say, you didn't read me my rights. There's going to be a lawsuit. Oh my God, there's going to be such, because you didn't read me my rights. You have to read me my rights. You put the handcuffs on and didn't read me my rights. Who in their right mind honestly believes that they are forced? Can you imagine? The cop pulls his gun out. Freeze. Now, before you freeze, you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say. What the hell?
Right. So, for all those people out there who are listening who think that the cops have to read them their rights, they don't have to read you your rights until they plan on asking you questions. That could be like 17 hours from now.
Yep. Yeah, the whole point is to let you know. The whole point of the Miranda warning is it came out of a case where someone's rights were violated and their name was Miranda. And they were held in the police station and asked question after question, and they weren't given an attorney. And so then all sorts of things were said that then were used against him, but got overturned on appeal because they weren't allowed to do that. They didn't allow him to have an attorney present and all that. So now they have to read it to you so that you know you have that.
Right.
I think that one is interesting. And then these two are intertwined, the First Amendment and private companies setting their own rules. You know, the First Amendment protects you from government censorship, not consequences imposed by your employer or other companies or individuals.
Or a random person on the street who tells you to shut the fuck up.
Right. That's not a violation of your First Amendment rights.
You know, it made me laugh so hard when we were still living in California and we had that Facebook group. And people would say that I was squelching their First Amendment rights by not letting them yodel about whatever they wanted to yodel about.
Yeah.
Actually, I am not the government. I am not squelching your First Amendment rights, dipshit.
And I agree. And when it comes to social media companies, the only problem I have with them is they never show you the specific thing you did and what rule it violates. Because if they did, you could calm down and maybe not do it again.
Right.
But when they don't, they could literally just one day decide, you know what? I don't like that person said this, so I'm going to go ahead and restrict them for a week. And I'm not going to give them any reason. I'm just going to tell them they violated community standards. Go here and look, which is what Instagram does.
And then you go there and look, and it doesn't tell you anything at all. Sometimes. This is party.
So I don't know. I think that kind of stuff is nuts because you're like in trouble. It would be like them arresting you and putting you in jail for 30 years, but not telling you why. It doesn't make any sense. I would have to imagine that suspending your account for X number of days is meant as a punishment to hopefully not have you do the thing again.
Yeah,
right?
You're supposed to calm down in that time.
Right? But what did I do that I'm not supposed to do? That's the thing I never understand. Because I get it all the time. in Instagram DMs when I go through my periods where I mess with the scammers. If I mess up one time and put SCAM, that's it. I end up getting a ban for a period of time. This time it was only 3 days.
It's been a while since you've had a ban. That's probably why. I think, I was going to say.
Well, I think they just need to make sure that they tell people why the fuck they're doing what they're doing.
So somebody in our Facebook group the other day, one of their posts was removed for violating community standards. I'm sure Facebook didn't tell them what community standard they violated. However, they told me as the group administrator what community standard they violated. However, they wouldn't show me the post.
That's really dumb.
They told me what the issue was. Somebody was apparently racist, but they wouldn't show me the post. So I couldn't see that they were racist. I couldn't see what they said. If Facebook had misunderstood what was said, how am I supposed to, as a group owner, make a good decision about that person because Facebook told me that they were a racist?
But here's the thing. It's stupid because they're doing it to educate you on how to be a better moderator, but yet they're not showing you what it is you should be moderating.
Exactly.
And what I find hilarious about it is they're trying to keep them person's situation anonymous, but yet they're telling you who the person is.
And what rule they violated.
Yeah. It's
fantastic.
And then the last thing that I want to talk about, and I don't know if you have more to talk about, is foreign aid people. It's a privilege. It's not a right. End of story. It's our money. It's not everyone's money.
All right.
It's like when Trump comes into office and he starts cutting the money that's going to other countries, people are screaming and yelling. I'm sorry, no foreign country has a right to American money. And I don't remember which African nation, but their ruler, I think it was a king, said Trump's right. And the last part about that is that the first priority, in my opinion, of our government should be lawful U.S. citizens and lawful residents. That's who it should be. And we have too many homeless people. Look at here in Vegas when we go to downtown and you drive along there and there's all those poor people on the side of the road. And there's hundreds of them out there.
They could build housing for all of California's homeless people from the money that they sent to Ukraine last year.
Yeah.
All of those homeless people would have housing now.
Yeah. And this is the thing that I don't understand, okay? The progressives, it's admirable. They're always very, let's help the downtrodden. Let's help this. But they don't care about the homeless.
Nobody cares about the homeless.
It's sad. I care about the homeless. I wish they would get fixed.
Government people care about the homeless. How about that?
I wish it would get fixed. California spent billions of dollars and got nowhere.
Quite frankly, bringing back mandatory rehab and mental facilities would do a lot to solve part of the homeless problem. It would just leave people who are actually down on their luck and actually want help, quite honestly.
Agreed. You have anything else in there you want to talk about?
Nah.
No.
I think you covered all the bases, bro.
Here's the thing. People, ignorance, it isn't patriotic. It's pathetic. And I'm going to tell you, you'd better take the time, and if you're going to live in a country, to learn about that country, learn about its history, and if you're not bothered to do that, then you're not trying to defend anything. You're just freeloading. That's all you're doing. These people online that are like, oh, I'm defending democracy. No, you're not. You don't even understand democracy. You're on there arguing that the guy that got sent to El Salvador is now a citizen because he married a U.S. citizen. Shut the hell up. If it was that easy, every foreigner would be marrying U.S. citizens.
Yeah.
There'd be websites, marryauScitizen.com, like hundreds and thousands of them. But they're not, for a reason. It's illegal, first of all. And second of all, it doesn't make you a fucking citizen. It doesn't even make you a permanent resident. You still have to go through the process, as we said. So you know what? That ignorant stuff, learn. Don't tell me you're defending democracy when you don't effing know what the hell the topic is that you're talking about. Like, you don't understand it.
Fair enough. I think all of our listeners should go and take the citizenship test of the country that they live in and see if they pass.
Yeah, drop in the comments, drop your score.
Yeah, I could pass the citizenship test for both the U.S. and Canada with my eyes closed.
Wow.
Good night, everyone.
But still a bye-bye, sleepy Torya.